Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm running a little bit late here. Let me get my screen share up. Oh, you know what? It's a holiday today. It's gonna be a extra slow Monday, I think, Will.
Uh, okay, that's all
I
right.
just considered that. Considering my, isn't it a holiday? No, it's not a holiday, is it? Is it a
Uh,
holiday?
it's a bank holiday.
Is it Columbus Day?
It is.
Right. Okay, I'm not making that up then. Knew my kids were off. Then I started to think, is it because of a teacher work day, or is it because of a holiday? All right, let's see here. Pre-submitted questions. There's a question from Sean that I don't see on yet. So if you have any, right now, very small group in. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them. Someone, I see that you've joined twice. If you'd like to ask a question, I can unmute you. You can ask a question. You can type it in chat, type it in QA, whatever's easiest for you. Happy to help answer any questions that y'all might have. Hey, Sean, there you go. All right. I'd like to know how to add a field on a dashboard that shows the date of a modification for a request. This shouldn't change when just viewing the form.
Yes, say if I wanted to add like a field in which it basically shows or it keeps updating the date of when a user goes in and edits a request or a record or along those lines. And I would like to have that date sort of update, but to not do that if all the user has done is just view the form. So if they use like the view form user action, it doesn't actually change that date. But if they actually use the edit um, user action and they actually edit something,
What's
then
what's the data type here for your process?
um, I guess it would be I guess it would be daytime.
No, I'm sorry. Like, is it a process folder, a simple data structure, or an
Oh,
entity thing
uh,
that you're assigned, you're like that your
um,
process is built on?
I believe it is a believe it's an entity.
There's a tracked field on an entity, and every entity you get called like a modified date. So if you just when you edit, if you just force a save, that property will update automatically.
Um, eh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Wait. Here. Wait, let me actually look at the data structure itself. If I were to look at the data structure, it would looks to be a hmm. Um. Okay. No, it's my apologies. It's just a regular data structure. It's
Then
not.
you're gonna have to create your own date time on that thing.
Okay. So if uh so if I have I guess a date time, right? I guess what rules or like validations, if any, would I, or how would I basically implement any rules or validations in order to have it so it follows that specified criteria?
Say that one more time for me.
So the criteria that this modified date time should have, right, is that it only changes when something has actually been changed, and it doesn't change when uh a user just either views the form or maybe they click edit form and they don't change anything about the form. So knowing that, I guess what would be the process and or train of thought I should take when
You
approaching that?
well, you just like so you're gonna have an edit action, right?
Hmm.
And that means that right now on your edit action, you're doing some kind of save event on your simple data structure, right?
Right.
So what you should do is if you add a property um, of your on your data type called like last modified date or something, right? And then you can just have it always be set like in that edit flow to current date time, like on its input mapping. And every time you run that flow to edit that thing, it will pass the current date in and update that property.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. Would you be able to, I guess, give me an example I can
Yeah,
pick
sure.
up?
So what's today? 10-9. So I'm going to create a simple data structure here called test type db1, and you're going to have your own properties. Here's str1. Oops, that's supposed to be type string, and I'm going to create one called modified date and make it date time.
Okay.
And so in your flow, I'm assuming, are you using like an entity action flow, or how are you
Um,
accessing the data in the object?
um, let's see. I think it's through a series of like fetch entity steps, I believe.
Okay, that's fine. We can do it that way. So let's assume I'm gonna have to create one really quick, right? So here's a data structure, test type db1. I'm just gonna run this and create one really quick. Build data, set str1 to hello world.
Mhm.
Okay, there I have some data now. So let me get rid of this. Now let's say if I was maybe. So here I'll find my type, test type db1, and I'll just fetch everything. I only have one result, so I'm just gonna add the result path. So here's my form. Let me quickly create a form. And here's a button. And then I'm gonna put a text box here for my str1 value, right? And then a label, which is, update this text or something. Blah, blah, blah. The only thing that their person is actually gonna touch is that property I added, str1 here, right?
Right.
And so what I'm going to do is pass in the value from it. So entity result str1, and then I can change the value. This should all be standard stuff here for entity result str1. And then what I'm going to do is use I guess what's the best way to do this? Selective update. Yeah, probably. Let me not do change value. Let me just do selective update here. Sorry, let me change this. I'm gonna change this back to rename to be str1. Oops. And then here I can pass in, like I get my ID, right? So entity
Mhm.
result ID, that's good. str1, I can pull from str1, and then I can just set modified date to current date time. Now, when I run this, so I can run that flow, I can see my form. There's hello world, right? And I can do hello
Mhm.
world 1 and run that. And if I were to create a report now for my simple data structure, so data source add user defined database test db1, I can add str1, and now I have modified date, right? And that modified date will continue to change every time I run that flow because it'll be always taking in the current date time.
Okay. Okay, so I see. So essentially it's you basically what like linked or made modified date almost like a I'm not sure how I can rephrase I guess like almost like a property to um the string where when you go when you run the actual flow to edit um it goes ahead and ties in with the current date time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Whenever this flow runs, the current date time is always the current date time. So whenever this flow it runs, like whenever they click submit here and this step is hit, it's always going to replace the value with the current date time value.
I see. Now, if they, okay, I see. And it shouldn't happen now, if they actually if they don't change anything, let's say that they use the flow and um nothing gets changed. They just kind of perhaps they accidentally clicked on it or to some variety. Um, would it still change the current
Yeah.
date time then? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to, you could run checks, right?
Right.
You could put a confirmation on this form to make sure that they can't do that. Like on the button, there is needs confirmation. You could have a confirmation message to make sure that they know they're going to force an update if they click this. Otherwise, right, they have like a cancel button here,
Cancel.
and it goes around the selective update step.
Okay.
That's one option. Or you can, cancel goes to the end step here and bypasses. Or if you really wanted to get, I mean, that's probably the simplest way. I mean, theoretically, you could run some logic in between here to check to see if there's been any change. You'd have
Right.
to look at each property and stuff. It'd probably be kind of a pain in the butt, but you
hmm
could. And then you could get it to ignore or route around the selective update if there's been no change.
Got it. Okay. I see. Um, okay. All right. I can give that a try then. Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, you bet. All right, and then Simone, you got a question here. On an add task step, how do I assign a specific user in the flow, not a specific account or group? Would it be under assignment setup and build array? Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay, and then just pull it in from the form, the value of the user that I need.
Yeah, so if you look at your assignment setup here, so I just changed this form to assignment and I click edit and accounts and groups.
Uh-huh.
Here, like you said, I can do build array. And then I can and then somehow, like let's just say it's the current user for some reason, right? I can change this to select from flow. I could look at flow data, current user email, right? At which point I'm going to assign this task to the current user. But I could also add additional users and or groups. And you can do the user ID, the user email, the group ID, or the group name. You have those options to
Okay.
doing any. This is an alternative way to assign versus what you see here. So these are kind of, even though
Got
they're on
it.
different screens, they're comparable. This is always assigned to a group. This is more dynamic assigning. Like maybe the group itself is determined by like a truth table or some logic in the flow, right? Then you'll need to
Mm-hmm.
use this pattern to get that more dynamic assignment done.
Okay. That makes sense. And so would I need to do the same thing if because basically I need this task to go back and forth, right? So this task is going out to a requester, and then the requester needs to be able to respond. So I would set up another add task step, kind of doing the reverse, right? Going back to that other user within the flow.
That's
Am I
exactly
making
right.
sense?
Yeah, exactly right. Yep, that's how you
Okay,
would do it. You could
got it.
keep going from assignment to assignment, changing the value of what this is,
Right. Okay. And who
and
it
have
needs
it
to
be
go to.
dynamic. Right, exactly. It could even be that you could even imagine on a form you have you have a list of who to assign it to, and you could pick someone, right? Like say this drop down
Mm-hmm.
of strings, and then you could pick me and then click submit, right? And it would pass my email address to the next assignment. And then it would take it up in in this accounts and groups array.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
So on the same topic
Mm-hmm.
of configuring this assignment, is there an easy way to get this to show up on a dashboard? I do have a call with support tomorrow on it, so I don't want to take up too much time, but I figure while we're on the topic,
Please.
I would just ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my phone and I can't share my screen at this time. It'd probably be easier if I can share, but I basically have a dashboard where I'm trying to put these assignments on there for the
Okay.
requester.
Right.
And I have like reports on there,
Okay.
which they can view the information, but how do I make it more interactive to where they can, instead of having to go to their inbox, they can address that task right within their dashboard. Is that possible?
The act like so you could get, I mean, assignments are just a data source. So
Mm-hmm.
if we created this, let me just create this. This is like a new test assignment, and assignment action name is complete. Let me go ahead and save this, and let me run that flow. All right, so there's an assignment. I can create
Okay.
reports, and then one of the reports, like the inbox is just
Oh,
an assignment data source. So if I search assignment, I can get assignment data source here. And then this has all the fields of the assignment. So entity name
okay.
or created on date, and maybe I want to put created on date descending, so I can see that one I just did. And you can put
Mm-hmm.
this as a report on a page, and it'll give you all of the actions that you'd
The
have. So,
actions needed.
mhm.
Okay.
So yes, you can create custom reports of assignment data source and put those on whatever dashboard you want for your particular users.
That makes sense. Okay, so it would be a report using the assignment data source,
Hmm.
and then just making sure that they have the action on there. The only action we would need is just for them to answer or address the task, right? So that's where they could right click and do that, right?
Yeah, correct. They get it'd be this is the action to view and complete the task, right? This form.
Got it. Okay.
And then through the normal assignment configuration, you control, what the assignment name is, what this action name is, and all of
Mm-hmm.
those properties on the assignment itself.
Okay, and then we can remove all the rest of those, right? And just have the
Hmm.
assignment option
Yeah, you can.
within the report, right?
A lot of these won't show up for a non-admin user anyways, but yes,
Oh,
in
okay.
fact, we've been rewriting our action. Let's see, visibility. Any action visibility rules, yeah. And so categories, action names, global filtering, local filtering. Yeah, so on this doc right here, into the action visibility rules, it walks you through a variety of ways that you can hide those things.
Okay, that's good. And I see it has the levels, right? There's different areas to filter.
Right,
I'll
exactly.
take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, that takes us to 12:30, and people have flowed out, and so sort of last call for questions here. Let me know if you got anything. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, sorry, I was just wondering if I have a subflow within an actual like I have like my main flow, right? And there's a subflow that I would want to have triggered. Um, how would I go about getting that subflow to actually trigger?
Say that one more time for me.
So I have a subflow within a main flow, right?
Okay.
And there is a for each step that goes before that subflow,
Okay, sure.
or that is kind of like within it, right? So it's supposed to go through the for each, goes to the
Okay.
subflow and keeps iterating through it. Now, once it does that, well, currently what's happening is it will go to the for each. There is a list of data that it should be iterating through, but it's for whatever reason, it's not going through the actual subflow. And I'm just curious if there's an actual way to force it to go to the actual subflow, just for like debugging purposes.
You only want it to go to the subflow when you're debugging?
Um, I mean, this is within the I guess this is within dev, so it's if I have to like force it in general to just go through, then that's fine as well. But I just would whether it's for like debugging or for just running the flow entirely, I just wanted to force it to use this specific subflow in this for each loop. And I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how I can go about doing that.
I mean, you could just create be like, we have some customers who will create like an input called like run in debug or something, and then they
Running
just use
debug.
true. It's just yeah, they just create an input, a type Boolean,
Okay.
right? Called like debug or in run and debug or something.
Okay.
And in that, and then in their flow, they'll use true false steps. And if the value is true, like if they run a unit, if they run a test and they set that debug to true, they follow
Hmm.
the true path. Otherwise, normal runs, they follow the false path of that step.
So they put a constant in and then have it go through a logic step, or
Yeah, they would they would make it an input to the flow. So when they ran a test or they executed the flow, they would pass in debug true
okay. Okay, I see.
and then use true false rules in the flow to route the flow accordingly.
Okay. Okay. I can try that then. Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right, you bet. All righty. Okay, wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We will see you same time tomorrow.